All right, welcome to episode number 130 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast. We're recording September the 12th, 2021. My name's Eric, I'm host of the show, based in Southern Ontario. I'm hunter, target shooter, ham radio operator, and computer geek. As a first responder, I witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services during major events and started a small preparedness company to help people get better prepared for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
I'm Alan. I'm a safety trainer, first responder, security expert, and overall safety nerd.
And I'm Jeff. I'm based in Central Ontario. I'm a target shooter, soon-to-be ham radio operator, and general overall handyman. And no, I don't have a call sign yet.
Way to go, Jeff. Way to go.
I'm Carmen. I'm based in BC. I'm a micro homesteader, wife, general domestic guru. I love sharing and including learning more knowledge about everything from canning to quilting to throwing an axe. And I recently got my PAL along with my restricted. So I'm, hopefully in 3 or 4 months, I'll be able to go get my boomstick.
Best of luck to that.
Yes. I want to go hunting. Go ahead, Brad.
Nice. Hi, I'm Brad. I'm from Eastern Ontario. I've been interested in and practicing some level of preparedness since the ice storm hit here in '98, and I've had a hell of a journey.
Oh, welcome.
I think most of us have got into this because of the ice storm in '98.
17 days without power.
Wow.
17 days without power in my parents' place. We had 2 wood stoves going just about nonstop, no generator. I hooked up a car battery to a small inverter to push some power to some small fans to push the heat around the house coming from the wood stoves. And we did all right. We came out of there and it really clicked a switch onto me I got to be a heck of a lot more prepared than we were there. And since then, it's just been. They
had a wood stove to help out.
Yep.
Yes, we did. One upstairs, one downstairs, and it kept the house nice and warm. We walked around in t-shirts and shorts some days with, minus 30-degree weather outside, and it was definitely an eye opener. Definitely an eye opener.
All right. Well, if you want to help support the show, keep the Canadian Prepper Podcast on the air, you can buy some swag. We have both the Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt and the tactical Velcro patch at prepperpodcast.ca. All proceeds help keep lights on and the backup generator fueled.
And if you are enjoying the show, please take a few minutes, like us on Facebook, and submit a review on iTunes or whatever podcast app you get us from. We also want your feedback, good or bad, and even if there's just a topic you want us to cover, email us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
All right, is everybody ready for the dad joke of the night? We've got some shuffling content for you in this episode. Oh yeah. We're gonna start off with some preparedness related news articles. Next, we'll let you know what we've done for our preparedness this past week, and then we'll get into the main topic, food rotation. So let's move into some news.
A couple of articles I put in here. Hurricane Larry. I don't know if you heard of him. Making things difficult in Newfoundland. One of the things I found interesting in this article is that advanced polling stations are closed. So without getting into a conspiracy theory, because I don't think it's possible for anybody to create a storm, it does speak to the limited accessibility and fragility of our electoral system. The other one I put in, never say never. That's right. Yeah. The other one I put in here is a little more off the beaten path. Apparently, there are amphibious fish, which I didn't know until tonight. There are a few different species of amphibious fish that enjoy up to 2 months at a time out of the water. And the University of Guelph is making amphibious fish smarter by exercising them. Apparently, the additional exercise forces greater amounts of oxygen into their lungs, and as a result, they get smarter. And this just seems like a terrible idea. I feel like we're messing with evolution at this point, and
are they like hitting them with a stick to make them move all the time, or like?
According to the article, it is a boop on the nose.
A boop on the nose.
A boop on the nose. Yes, that's what the CBC reported on.
A boop on the nose.
Remember that next time I'm in the gym.
All right then. So if everyone hasn't been living under a rock, there's an election underway here. So get out and vote. September 20th.
Going tomorrow.
Yep. Or if you got some early poll stations in your area, get out and vote. Make use of your throwaway pencil.
I'm going to keep.
No, look,
Keep all of them.
We're all pretty disappointed about that, but
I'm going to keep mine.
it is. But don't forget, get out and vote and do your thing.
Mhm.
And just before I go on to my couple quick things, just a shout out. Yesterday was the 20th anniversary of 9/11. So to all of those first responders who were running in while everybody was running out, I salute you. All of those who paid the ultimate price.
Amen.
So my one thing from CTV News is they're talking about a growing risk of a once-in-a-century solar superstorm that could knock out the internet. Take that with a grain of salt. The growing risk has gone from 12% to 16%. So don't be running out there thinking something's going to happen. It just seems to be gaining a bit of traction. There's a couple different news sources that have picked up on it. I mean, it's a
But
rare
also
event.
don't ignore it.
It's happened. The last more or less big one was 1989 there in Quebec that basically knocked the province out for, I don't know what, 9, 10, 11 hours. There's been a couple, back in the early days that were fairly significant. So it can
Carrington
happen.
event.
Tell us, Jeff, what happened before the internet when stuff like this happened? What were the consequences?
Well, the one they said with the Carrington event was it basically burned up all of the transmission lines where they were using the Morse code in that.
Telegraphs.
It just burned up all their transmission lines.
Oof.
Yep, that's not good.
Nope. And the other one, which has been an ongoing issue and probably will continue to be for a long time, and they just need other things to blame on it, is now they're laying blame on Hurricane Ida. That one that smacked New Orleans pretty hard.
It's the Ministry of Plenty that is controlling that. Hurricane Ida has nothing to do with it, and don't be fooled.
Poor Ida.
So now they're saying it's just going to worsen the supply chain issue that was already there and already bad. So they just needed something else to complain about. So I just put a link in there from the Business Insider that they're just saying the supply chain is going to get worse.
Yeah, not shocking.
Malarkey.
Not shocking.
Nope. Well, when you consider that 12% of the oil production down there is still offline a week after the storm, that's a fairly significant amount.
Yep, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Shall we move into what we've done lately for preps?
I've done nothing, and that includes getting my ham license. So,
way to go, Jeff. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
Just disappointed, Jeff. That's all.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, it's all right. You got time
You
yet?
thought about it.
No.
Oh, I thought about it. I actually had an appointment that got canceled, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, set another hard date, and we'll give you a rough time, and you don't write by then too. So for myself, got out for a few days. I won't admit that it was out with Jeff and a few other guys because I don't know Jeff because he doesn't have a license. But we got out the fish camp, go every year out to the middle of nowhere, got to test some gear. So brought the generator along this year, and happy to report that it runs, and it runs quite well. We got about 13 plus hours out of it on the tank of gas, and there's still some gas left in it, and made use of it by plugging the smoker into it and having some smoked ribs and chicken and pulled pork. So it was fantastic. We ate well,
but no smoked fish.
But no smoked fish, no, because
Gotcha.
I didn't fish. No,
Yep.
I fished out
who
of the
else can-
cooler. I didn't fish out of the lake.
Who else can claim that they're so far out in the boonies? There's
That's
no
just as hard
cell service,
sometimes.
no internet service, no nothing. But we had smoked ribs and pulled pork.
Yep.
Ugh, I love pulled
Fantastic.
pork.
It was good.
Well, I'm still canning a lot. I'm getting some meat put away recently. Went to Costco, spent more than I should probably, and I'm still canning it up. It's in the fridge right now, taking up a lot of space. So I have that tonight. We'll be finished. And stocking up a bit more in the pantry, going through a bit more, filling in the gaps, I guess would be the word now, is getting the gaps filled in. I have the essentials down, I feel, and just getting some gaps filled in at this point. And of course, my gym is now 90% complete. So I've been working out in the mornings and feeling good. It's been nice. I've been a real gym in the house again.
That's fantastic. I'm really excited to be able to move my gym into its forever home. I'm getting there, which is a phenomenal segue into what I've done legally for prep. So this week I've spent all my time working on my garage. I did manage to get a stripe on my jiu-jitsu belt this week, which is fantastic. That was a lot of fun. And got some meal preps done for the week and added some cans to the back of the pantry so that we could rotate them through.
Nice.
That is a fantastic segue into the main topic.
I planned that.
Well done. Well, let's move into the main topic then, shall we? And we're talking about food rotation this evening. So figured we'd do it kind of just a general chit chat amongst the panelists, maybe get some live chat questions in there as well, because why not? And it's a pretty popular topic. A lot of people ask, why food rotation? Don't I just, buy a bunch of stock and just throw it on a shelf somewhere and let it sit, and then when shit hits the fan, well, that's what I use.
It's because you end up with an overabundance of lima beans and nothing else.
Yeah. You end up with a whole bunch of stuff that you may or may not like,
and that may or may not be good.
And chances are it might be bad. So it's being prepared is not just necessarily taking a whole stockpile of food, shoving it in the corner, and then not looking at it for 20 years and hoping it's good when something happens. There's a whole way of planning things out and making sure you're using what you have and rotating it out, and that way it keeps it fresh. So I'll open it up to the panel here and start throwing some things out, and I've got a few things on my list as well. But
I was going to say that's where, when Alan talked about the food prep, that's where that can come in. Is you look at your pantry, you see what you've got, what's maybe about to expire or has been there for a while, and you plan that into your food prep for that week. So you're going to use it up, put that on your shopping list for the next time to refill what you've used.
Yep.
For anybody who's ever worked in a stockroom before, we FIFO our rations or our preserves. Yep. So first in, first out. That's why you stack it to the back. However you do that, whatever method you like, whether it's left to right, front to back, top to bottom, whatever it is, just make sure that it's organized and in a way that you can see everything. It's the number one thing with your pantry is you end up with stuff shoved back in the corners and you don't know where things are, which is less than pleasant. So find a way. My grandparents had this had like this 15-foot chest freezer in the basement, and they had on top of it a card system. So it was like a stack of cards that worked out to about one for every 8 inches in width and 5 layers deep, so that they could always keep track of where things were in the freezer. So you didn't have to go digging too far. You could get to within like 1 cubic foot of where something was.
Oh, nice.
Which is maybe a little bit excessive, but it was really well organized. And so when my grandma sent me down for, last year's rhubarb, I could find it.
Nice. Good system.
We've got a good question in the live chat here from Chris, just in regards to rotating freeze-dried food. Do you, and if so, how often?
Yes, because I use it. So then I buy new stuff to replace it and put it at the back. With freeze-dried, right, there's not a lot that can go wrong as long as the packaging is intact. So I wouldn't I wouldn't overstock on freeze-dried food either, because it's not very good and not very good for you. But if you're going to be camping, then it's great to use it while you're camping, and then you buy more and put it at the back. So those things have a shelf life of like 10 or 20 years. So I wouldn't.
Yeah, that's what mine's
often isn't necessary, but yes, always be rotating your stock. Also, it's a way to test your gear, right? And I don't know, have we ever gone an episode without saying test your equipment?
I think this is the first one.
This is the first time we've said that you should test your equipment. So if this is a new concept to you, you should test all of your stuff, including your food preserves, so that you know that you can actually survive on this stuff, right? It's one thing to say, I've got this 20-year supply of freeze-dried food in 5-gallon buckets in my basement. It's quite another thing to actually open it up, eat one, and go, this is absolutely horrific, and I'm never going to eat this. Because freeze-dried food is it's really not very good, but it's lightweight, it's easy to pack, and it's it's nutrient dense and calorically dense. But
lasts forever.
Yeah, but it'll last forever. Like you don't have to, as long as the packaging is intact. And I think that's kind of a good segue into why to rotate your food, right? Or what can go wrong, but especially if your packaging is damaged, throw it out. But when you're looking at like where to store it and how to store it, your cans, right, obviously need to be stored somewhere where they're not going to get any water on them because rust is evil. Anything
Not
that's
in direct sunlight.
Yeah, definitely not in direct
Dry,
sunlight.
cool, and in the dark.
Cook. Yep. Anything that's in soft packaging like Mylar bags, protect it from damage, especially if it's going to be long-term storage. Stuff's going to have to get moved around. So put it in 5-gallon buckets, label everything, of course, but make sure that you're actually taking stuff out every once in a while, inspecting it, making sure it's not damaged, and then trying some of it to make sure that you can actually stomach this stuff. I forget which season of Doomsday Preppers it was, but there was one guy in a major urban center. It might have been New York City, and he had like 12 years of MREs in buckets containers under his bed. And you just know that guy's never eaten an MRE before, because you can't live on those for more than about 3 days.
No,
not with any, like, I wouldn't call it. Yeah, it's like it's not tasty, and by day 3 or 4, your colon is screaming at you. So it's great to have a few on hand, but like, let's not count on them. They're not good. They're not good for you. So
it should be part of your food stock for sure. It's a handy thing to have, especially if you got to get up, run, and go. Like you said, it's light, it lasts forever, but you want something different to mix it up. Don't rely on the freeze dried for absolutely everything, because you're going to get totally sick of it. And you want something different. It's good to mix things up, right?
Exactly. And then it's survival in an emergency, or thriving through an emergency is 90% psychological and 10% physical. You can live, like the human body can go through for 3 weeks without food. You won't be thriving in that time, but you can go 3 weeks without food. You can't go 3 weeks eating the exact same thing. Nobody can. You end up bashing your head off the walls with the boredom and the repetition. So have lots of variety. And again, I think we've talked about this before. Just buy stuff that you like and that you're going to eat. Just buy more of it. It's not
that works into how I was taught to do pantry. Is you record what you eat for a month here, a month there kind of thing throughout the year, as to what you're actually eating. You save your grocery bill basically for the whole year if you want to, and see exactly what you're buying all the time and what you're eating all the time, and then start buying more. So you have almost like a year's worth or 6 months worth in that pantry. At that point, you start rotating. I got 12 cans of beans. Well, that's going to take me a month to go through. Okay, well, I need 148 cans of beans then, 144 cans of beans then, to make it through a whole year. And now I can start rotating. That's a lot of cans of beans, and people start actually thinking about it. They're like, oh, that's a lot of food, but that is what you're eating. So for all your mixes and recipes and that kind of thing throughout the year. So start recording what you're actually using, and then just start buying more and start rotating through there. Now, if you have crops in your garden and stuff like that, you've got an annual rotation kind of happening already just naturally from doing that. You're like, oh, I still have 24 jars of potatoes left. Do I really need to jar up any potatoes this year? Maybe not, because I only go through 2 jars a month kind of thing on top of the regular potatoes I buy at the store. But what if that store isn't there anymore? Well, I need those. Oh, yes. It's kind of like you have to kind of figure out where the line in the sand is for what kind of food you want to have and how long you think you might be without food and without access to a grocery store. It could be a month sometimes. Right now, my current Walmart is shut down. The one next door to me here is shut down. So if I want to go to Walmart, I'd have to go all the way into town, which is another 30K away. So all of a sudden the Walmart shut down. So I know there's people around me in the neighborhood that are like, oh, well, now I have to go to the grocery store. And now I have to go into town if I want to go to Walmart to get this cheaper price. But now I'm paying gas money to get there. So it's a bit of a, people are like, oh, they just go to Walmart. Oh, it's closed. There's big trucks and everything. There was a fire at the back of Walmart. Now it's closed. So you never know when the stores are going to be closed. Just like when lockdown happened, the stores in my current area were closed for 3 days. They weren't sure what to do. So, and then they're closed at open at certain times because they don't have any staff, etc. So having that 2 to 3 months of extra food really is a good start, in my opinion. And that's when you can start rotating. And if you want to build it up slowly over time to a year, then go for it. But that might be excessive, but
hey, nothing wrong with having a year.
It's my pantry.
Oh, exactly.
And
We all have different needs.
Mhm.
yeah, exactly. And if you can come up, I know somebody put it in the show notes here, and it was kind of my thing too, was have a bit of a storage system. So maybe put all your pasta sauces or your canned tomatoes, put them all in one spot. Have your your pasta in one spot, your rice maybe in one spot. So almost sort of like mimicking a grocery store style of organization. Then
That's
it's second nature. You decide you want to make something, you know exactly where you're going to get it. You're not opening shelves and looking, where'd I put it and how long has it really been there. And
Yeah, because I'm using like the last of my peanut butter this morning out of the jar. I'm like, okay, well, I've got 4 jars downstairs. I'm going to go downstairs and grab a jar. But now I've got a little list on the fridge where I'm like, I pulled something out of the pantry. I got to go get another one.
Yep.
So that's where the rotation comes in. And that's a simple thing to do, is to have that list there of as soon as you leave the pantry, oh, I took this out.
Yep.
Kind of a thing. So have it as a separate area if you are going to be rotating longer term food storage, not just the corner cabinet in the kitchen. You want to have like an actual separate closet, room, whatever you want to be. Especially a nice basement dark room is the best. It's nice and cool. The one that doesn't have any ventilation going to it, or turn off the ventilation to it, so it's nice and cool in that room and dark, and keep it separate. So I'm like, yeah, honey, go get some peanut butter in the pantry. We're down to like the last scoop here, kind of a thing. And he'll go down and grab it, and then I mark mentally on my brain or on my phone, yep, I need to get peanut butter next time I'm at the store. Yep. And if it happens to be on sale, I'll buy 3 instead of 1. So it's one of those things where it's like you got to catch the sales also as to what you know that you eat, and just start stocking. It doesn't take too much actually. It's like an extra $100 a payday, and you can be at a year out of year. So
I started with a little bit
that
less than that.
Yeah.
To that end, Carmen, if you have stuff in your pantry that you can rotate through, then you only have to buy it when it's on sale. And
Exactly.
It removes the urgency, which is always nice.
Yeah. Especially spaghetti sauce.
A few questions in the chat. Eric, can you pull up this one from Kyle about the O2 absorbers?
Sure. It's a second.
Oh, love those.
Where is it here? I saw it a second ago.
It's a few up.
Oh, here it is. Got it.
So not truly related, but how many O2 absorbers do you use for 1 gallon Mylar bags? I always add more for dense food and have been placing about 2,000 for dense. Can I get away with less?
You can with pasta, but not with flour.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I'd be careful with the sugar.
And don't put them in sugar.
And don't put in sugar.
Yeah.
Don't put them in sugar. No
will,
sugars at all.
Yeah, it will attach to your sugar. Another thing you can do is displace the oxygen before you seal the bag with something like nitrogen or carbon dioxide in a tank. So you can do that as well. So there are
dioxide, not monoxide.
Dioxide, not monoxide. Yes, carbon monoxide bad. Carbon dioxide is good.
23 minutes in. There we
Need
go.
some ventilation in that pantry.
There we go.
whoever was making bets out there, 23 minutes.
Yep.
23 minutes.
It was prompted though, so does that count?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So then another good point from Unger, a few comments down from that.
Got it.
Food prep requires rodent protection as well. Absolutely.
Oh, yes,
yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
So that's like same thing with the Mylar bags, right? In a bucket, right? So we said the same thing with the freeze-dried food. If it's not in a can, it's subject to damage. That includes pests. Like rodents. So make sure that you protect that however you can. A bucket with a good sealing lid is great. Put it up, get it up off the ground, right? Floods happen. I had a sump pump fail on me at random about a month or so ago, and had 5 inches of water in my basement. Because I am the way that I am, I had absolutely no damage other than having to replace my sump pump. But there was nothing damaged because I made sure that all of my stuff was up off the floor, and we were good to go. So yeah, when you're picking your storage location for your rotation, prior to your rotation, pick a spot where it's safe and convenient.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another one even further from Yep,
I have
That's
to laugh
Me.
because mine's like down a hallway, around a corner, up another corner, and around a corner, and then open the door, and then you're finally there.
For what Canadian suppliers carry first in, first out metal rack system that can sit on my HD? Now, is that Home Depot or heavy duty? Shoot me an email, alan@prepperpodcast.ca. If you can, send me a picture of the shelving system that you have, and I bet you I can find you a supplier for it. Because there are ways to make it easier, right? Especially with cans that will allow them to rotate, like allow you to kind of feed into the back and have them drop out the front. So shoot me a picture with some an email with some details on that, and I'll find you a system for it. And if it's okay, let me know if it's okay to share that with the audience. We'll do a follow up on this on a later episode, and we'll talk about some ideas on that. But even if you don't have a specific system for it, leave yourself enough room. Like leave everything, leave one can height or one package height in your shelving, so you can reach to the back and push it and bring it forward. And that's kind of the poor man's way to FIFO your stock.
Yeah, it's all about getting a system set up that works for you and works with your space that you have, and then actually sticking with it. That's the trick. If you don't stick with it, it's just going to fall apart.
So I can tell you from personal experience, the most important factor to sticking with it is making sure that everybody in the house understands the system. Because if everybody understands the system, they are more likely to follow through with it. And if they don't, then even despite the best of intentions, they cannot keep it up.
No.
It's true. And every once in a while, you're going to stumble and you're going to do something differently.
Of course.
But you got to get back on track and carry on with the system, because it's just the way it is, and it'll keep everything freshly rotated and good to go.
Organize your.
Brad, being the new guy, what was your experience with the ice storm in a pantry? Did you have one? How did it work? Is that something that jumped out at you right away that was not there that should have been, or?
My parents have been out in the country. Like, there's one sign in their town. It says the name of the town, both sides. There's no population count. You don't know if you're coming or going. Seriously, at that point, they had been there for over 30 years, and both my parents are mill brats, army brats. So their parents had lots of food around all the time. My mom had I want to say, about an 8-foot by 5-foot, quote unquote, cold storage room in the basement. And she canned a lot of stuff when I was younger. So we had probably, I want to say, about 3 weeks of food in the house at all times. Even in good times, there was 3 weeks of food minimum in that house.
Minimum.
And minimum. We had a big garden when I was growing up. Lots and lots of vegetables. They have their own agricultural business, so we were never ever out of fresh fruit and vegetables as long as they were in season. We did fine. We actually had some of our neighbors who were also out of power. They came on our door and asked, "Hey, do you have some extra of this? We don't have any. We can't get to the store." Absolutely. Here you go. My mom was definitely willing to share alike with everybody. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it definitely opened my eyes, like I said, to the ice storm thing. And my house now, I have a room in my basement. It was a former bedroom. I think I have 6 shelves and a couple of cabinets in there that are stocked full. I will never ever be without food and water.
Nice.
I still have yet to implement a good system of rotation, hence why I'm here. But
labeling is king.
Yep.
Labeling is king.
I have to do some other stuff in my basement, but it's on the list of stuff to get done.
Well, there's a Sharpie that lives in my pantry. When stuff comes in, it gets a label of when it came in, so I can even send anyone down there. I'll be like, get the latest one, like the one that's the oldest. So even if stuff has been shifted by someone else, there's a date on it. Oh, well, this one's the oldest. I'm going to grab the oldest and bring that back upstairs. Because stuff does get shifted. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You start moving some stuff. Oh, I got to put some more this or here. Oh, I got 4 more peanut butters. I got to put over here, kind of thing. All of a sudden, there's no dates. and you're like, oh, which one's the oldest? And you start looking by the Best Buy dates on some things, and you can't see it, or it's not visible anymore because it's that old. And then you're like, oh shoot, I'm gonna have to eat this now because I don't know when it got here. So labeling is king. There's also, besides the Sharpie, there's some, if you can't write with a Sharpie on the actual packaging, then I've got painter's tape, and I can write on the painter's tape and stick that all the way around it if I have to. So there is always a way, but it's just you got to have a plan of action. When it comes in, it gets a label, and then it goes on the shelf. So I'm at the point now where I'm almost at like a year's worth of stock. So now I'm like, oh, well, I can't just put, August 1st again. Like, because there's other August 1st.
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to do something different now. So it's you got to start changing it up a little bit. So yeah.
Put the year.
But
Put
labeling
the month
is
and
the
year
best
instead
thing.
of the date.
I think so, yeah. I did like August 2020 last year, so now I'm doing August 2021. I'm like, okay, let's just do this.
So when you're coming up with your organization system, start from the most basic level, which is your shelving. The way I learned how to do this was each shelf gets a letter number. So each vertical section gets a letter number. Each shelf gets a number, usually from either from the bottom up or the top down, and then for every foot of width on each shelf, it gets another number. So shelf A11 would be in the bottom left corner, and A14 across to the right, and then shelf A2 would be the next one up. And as you're inventorying things, as you're keeping your log, you can at least identify where things are within a foot. So if you want to get that technical with it, which isn't a bad idea, then you can make everything easy to find, and then you can send anybody down there. Look for shelf B2, section 3, and you'll find it there. And at least you're narrowing it down to one area when you're trying to find your stuff later. And I mean, our stuff just lives on a spreadsheet, so I can even search either by what it is or where I think it is, and I can find what I'm looking for.
And don't have too deep of a shelf. As soon as you get past 18 inches, as soon as you get past that kind of arm length depth, you're never going to see what's back there, first of all. And second of all, you don't want to reach back there and get it.
It's totally useless. And it becomes covered in cobwebs and dust. And
it's just spider fodder. And you're just like, I can't do this. Speaking of spiders, keep your spiders out. Webbing and stuff like that can degrade your packaging. The silk sits on it and degrades the packaging and things like that, depending on what it is. But they just create their own dust piles, basically. So if you can spray for spiders within this area first before you put your shelving in, just that defected stuff around the edges, and where you go.
Yep. Melissa's got a good point in the live chat here as well. It says don't have too high of shelf.
Absolutely.
Good point.
Oh, yeah. Paper products on top. That's where the toilet paper goes.
Yep.
Yeah. And when you're stocking your shelves, always stock the heaviest stuff on the bottom and the lightest stuff on the top. Paper products are the perfect example of light stuff that goes on top. And not too high as relative to how tall you are or how much you're willing to climb, but in an emergency, you want the least instability possible. It would suck to add a fall off a ladder to an ice storm problem. So don't
or dropping a heavy object on a foot or something like that.
Or dropping a heavy object that you mishandle. So keep the heavier stuff on the bottom; it's less likely to fall, and also mind the weight ratings on your shelves. So especially if you're building your own, be really, really careful that you're not overextending. So a lot of shelf manufacturers, like the commercial stuff, are 4 feet wide. So if you're trying to do like a 10-foot run, there's probably a reason that you can't buy them like that.
And
the shorter the better, actually.
Yeah.
And Carmen made the comment where she said, keep the paper or the toilet paper on top. Stocking isn't just food.
No,
it's the other things that you're going to need, like the toilet paper, the paper towels, maybe
laundry soap
and laundry soap and dish soap and,
shampoo,
and that kind of stuff. It's not, don't limit yourself to just food. There's other things,
Life straw water filters, just in case.
Just for Ian, because he's not here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
And
all the
spices
things
too,
you
yeah.
use on a daily basis, and use that same system of rotating those items as well that you use for your food. So again, it's not buy a skid of laundry detergent and just leave it sit in your basement forever, hoping that they never have to use it. But all of a sudden you shit hits the fan. No, you rotate that stuff as well. Everything gets rotated and used. Everything has a purpose. It's not just throw it in the corner and wait for shit to hit the fan. It's everything has rotation to it, so it's always fresh, it's always new, and then that way when there's a rush on toilet paper because of COVID, you already have some.
I still don't understand that.
I still
really
don't get that. Yeah,
it's a respiratory illness.
Yeah, but it
These
is
were
what
so
it is.
Toothbrushes and toothpaste.
Oh yeah,
Freya makes a great point there. Toothbrushes and toothpaste. What movie was it with Tom Hanks and the volleyball Castaway?
Castaway.
And an abscessed tooth caused him an absolute ton of problems. Take care of your teeth. Like you want to make your emergency the least bad possible. Yep. So keeping all those things on hand, and again rotating through them so the most current stuff is at the front, and where it is, keep it in the same place so everybody knows where to find it, and then just however it is that you stock it, right? Like we keep all of our stuff for the bathrooms in clear bins, but toothpaste is all stocked in a row. You take from the back. We take from the back and add to the front because I find that the easiest, but just because it's in a bin, so you're not fighting against the wall every time, but that makes it easier.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to the stocking of what's in your house, there was I wish I remember who it was. It was a YouTube video way back when I very first started thinking about stocking more than the regular stuff in the house. And the girl was like, go through your house, whatever you're touching every single day, those are the things you're going to want to touch every single day when the shit hits the fan. So your toothpaste, your toothbrush. Oh, I have an upset tummy on Friday nights almost all the time because I eat really spicy food. I'm going to need gastrointestinal issues for medications. Oh, I'm touching this toilet paper. I'm touching this paper towel. I'm touching this food. I'm touching, this, and that, and the next thing. And I did that for almost a month, just thinking of what I was touching all the time and using all the time. And that really affected what I stocked first as to what I got going in the pantry first. Because those are the things that I'm using all the time.
I'm pretty sure that was Morgan at Rogue Preparedness. I'm pretty sure I remember that
her
video.
Yeah. She was like,
and
she's whatever you're touching in the house.
Yeah.
Oh, she's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that might have been her.
Yeah.
But it was whatever you touch, think about getting extra. And then just look for the sales. It doesn't take that long for things to rotate and come back into sale. Oh, yeah, I use this shampoo all the time. I really love it. Oh, it's on sale. I'm going to buy 2 this time instead of 1. I'm going to buy 4 this time instead of 1.
Everything at Canadian Tire goes on sale about 4 times a year. So if you miss this sale, you just got to wait 3 more months and it'll come around again. And we should all know by this point to not buy anything at full price at Canadian Tire. I hope we know that.
Yeah, I just got my cabinets at $135 off. So
exactly. The clearance price is the real price.
Darren's got a good point in the live chat here. Stock clerks don't always follow the first in, first out, so check the dates before you buy.
Absolutely, and that's also a hint, right? If you're putting something away for longer term, maybe don't grab the one that's at the front of the shelf.
Yeah.
Especially if you're getting a case of something, feel free to take from the back. And I'm sure that my local grocery store owner is losing his mind for me saying that. But as long as you're neat and tidy about it, don't be afraid to take from the back from them as well.
Freya, the next comment down from that one, just after Darren's there, she says about you use your clothes every day. This is another factor where, I have extra clothes set aside. I have extra fabric set aside. I have extra sewing needs and things like that set aside. If I had to, I do know how to make my own clothes. I do know how to make my own jeans. They'd be like pajama pants jeans, but they would still be jeans. I do know how to do those kind of things, but a lot of people don't think about that. Like your clothes are going to wear out eventually. What are you going to do when there's no Amazon or Walmart to go buy a pair of cheap jeans at? It's going to be, how do I make fabric? How do I do this? I'm going to have to talk to the lady down the road with sheep. You know what I mean? So it's going to get a little weird if it ever got that bad. But I think at the same time, if the stores do close for a little while or the supply chain stops, okay, well, an Amazon t-shirt is going to turn into $100 item. No,
Yep.
I'm going to buy it at $10 right now and have it in my closet, and I'm fine for the next couple of years, hopefully. So she made a good point there, actually.
That's a very good point. Oh,
And
she has
shoes,
another one.
too.
She's got another point here about pet food. It's a good idea. It's
Pet food is
part of your plan.
Pet food is hard because there is a lot of grease in pet food, even the kibble. So it doesn't last that long. Out of the research that I've been doing, I'm better off canning fish or cheap meat on the side and having that for longer term if I needed to, and rotating that through with dog food, beef kind of a thing. Because the actual kibble itself will go bad after 6 to 8 months, even if it is air sealed, because there's grease and oils in there. It's just kind of like nuts that way. And it just goes kind of rancid after a while. It's kind of gross. It's an experiment I didn't want to do, but I did it.
Yep.
But yeah, it's hard with pet food, especially at this point. I'm actually considering rabbits for my dogs, so just frozen bunnies for them. But that's another discussion for another day.
It's an option, nonetheless.
It's an option. I might have to get to that level someday.
Yep. But getting back to food rotation, another reason to do food rotation, it just gives you opportunity to do regular inventory, right? Because you've got your hands on all the items that are in your stockpile. You have the opportunity to look at everything that's there and realize where your gaps are, and realize what you need to go out and grab on sale, or realize what is missing, or realize what may be damaged and needs to be replaced. So it's again getting into that habit of just actually looking at your stockpile, looking at what's there, looking at what you need, and addressing the shortcomings, and finding out what else you need to add to it or subtract, or what's working well or what's not.
And also, to further to Eric's point, take a look at what's been sitting there not moving for quite some time. Yep. If it's something that's not part of what you're going to eat, then trade it with somebody else who might want some, and make more room to stock up on what you want.
Exactly. Let's see. But yeah, it's all, like you said, there's always that big misconception in the preparedness community that you just take a bunch of food, stick it in the corner, and ignore it.
No.
But that's not going to help anybody, because you're going to come back to use it if you do need it, and it's going to be bad. It's going to be infested with bugs. It's going to be damaged, or who knows what else has happened to it in that amount of time.
Or it's just not very good.
Or you just don't like it and it's not good. Yeah. So make sure that you're, like we said, you're tasting what you're storing. You're actually storing what you like. And that's going to be different for everybody. So if you hop into Google and you just start researching what food should I store, well, that might be good for the person that wrote the article, might not be good for you. So take some time and figure out what actually works for you, and anybody that's going to be at your home should a shit hit the fan situation occur. Because if I can't picture anything worse than being stuck in the middle of a bad situation and realizing all the food that I have I don't like. That's just going to be 10 times worse.
That makes a bad situation worse.
Yeah.
Jason has a question about medical supplies. We did a couple of episodes about that, including one with Dr. Alton, and that would probably be your best resource. It's going to be basically the same thing: the stuff you use, the stuff you anticipate, the stuff you know how to use, and lots of it. and lots of painkillers. Check in with Scott if he ever comes back on the show about how to get those. He's got access to the good stuff.
He's in the live chat here.
He is in the live chat. He couldn't be bothered to join us on the air.
He slowly has one foot out the door, exit stage left. So he's gone from coming on and talking to getting his wood gasifier episode to lurking in the live chat. So I suspect shortly he'll just be gone in the wind.
Now, when it comes to medical prescriptions, though, you can request if your doctor, if you want to have held at home, say, I need to start rotating my meds. I'm just scared if there's a lockdown up ahead, that kind of a the thing. Doctors are a little more lenient about that now. So you can get,
as long as it's not an opioid. Yeah.
Well, it's not an opiate. Yeah. Then you're up the creek a little bit on those. But things like insulin, for instance, I have a girlfriend who has insulin, and she has a couple extra doses kind of a thing for in case she can't get into a pharmacy for up to 2 weeks now. So she's up to 2 weeks saving, but I think she's done that by just not taking it.
That's not good.
So, which is not good, but at the same time, they're not. It's a regulated substance still, so she has to do it somehow. She's like, yeah, I'm good up until 2 weeks, and then yeah. So with prescriptions, double check with your doctor what you can get, and then with these supply shortages right now, that's another thing. Is stuff's coming from other foreign countries by ship for our medications now. So I would stock up, especially if China decides to close the border or stop India from sending anything over, or anything like that happens on that side of the Pacific. It could get kind of dicey real quick, and all of a sudden there's no drugs coming, because I think it's something like 80% of our drugs comes from the East.
Yep.
Like, it's not here. It's not in North America. They're coming from over there. So it's kind of... Yep. I'm glad I'm not on prescriptions, let's put it that way. I'm really happy I'm not on.
So Hags, Hags does stuff. The answer to your question is rapidsurvival.com, or get your own freeze dryer and learn how to do it yourself, which is significantly more fun.
Those are expensive. Whew.
Yeah. They are, but they're a good time.
Yeah, I want one.
That's true.
Pretty big.
Chris mentions that in the live chat as well. That freeze-dried food is expensive and limited variety, which is true. And best to buy a freeze dryer and make your own. So yeah, bang on.
I love when
freeze
other people
dryers
agree.
are darned expensive.
They sure are.
Yeah. Yeah, but the whole medication topic is a popular one for rotation as well. It's
especially if you're on medication. Yeah.
It's a tricky one, and it's a hard one to navigate, because you're gonna run into a lot of brick walls trying to get more from a doctor. But
yeah, well, and to Kyle's point here, in the latest comment, how to stock up on meds like lidocaine, you simply can't unless you have a reason to have lidocaine. You're not going to get a prescription for it, so you're either stealing it, which we definitely don't recommend or condone or endorse, or you have to find somebody that can get it and get some for you. Most of those medications have a fairly short life cycle and rely on a solid supply chain to keep hospitals and clinics supplied. I don't know if it's common knowledge or not, but every prescription medication that comes into at least Ontario comes through one central repository in Toronto, which is the largest vault in Canada, by the way.
Cool.
And then it goes out by courier to the individual pharmacies. So there's limited access to it. It's but things like Tylenol, Advil, Rub 8535, stuff like that. If you can get it on the shelf, and don't be afraid to ask your pharmacist for what they have behind the counter. Right? Like there's, you can buy Tylenol with codeine. It's not as strong as prescription Tylenol, or as the T2s and T3s that you would get from your doctor. But you can get Tylenol with codeine over the counter. You just have to ask your doctor for it, or your pharmacist, I should say.
They're T1s or something, aren't they?
Yeah, they're T1s essentially. So it's 500 mgs of acetaminophen and a certain amount of codeine that's below prescription level. And then T2s are the first ones up, and I forget how much. It's like 750 and 750. And I want to say like 5. Scott can correct me on this. I want to say it's like 5 micrograms of codeine, and then it goes up from there. But you can get the lowest level without a prescription, but it's not on the shelf. Yeah. You just have to ask. You just have to ask the pharmacist for it.
Ask them for it.
And so find out from your pharmacist what else you have, what else they have that would be good for storage if you're going to be in a remote area. And I mean,
harm in asking questions.
If you want to keep, like, you're not going to get fentanyl patches or anything, but you're going to
thank goodness.
You're going to be able to get something a little bit stronger, a little bit more potent, that will buy you some time for you to get access to proper healthcare.
Pierre's got a couple of good options here as well, as far as regular Advil, Tylenol, upset stomach stuff, like all that kind of regular things you can buy over the counter. And to Alan's point, there's no harm in going and chatting with your pharmacist and just saying, hey, I'm going on an extended trip where I'm not going to have access to things. What can I bring? You don't have to tell them that you're stockpiling stuff just because, something might happen down the road. Yeah, just going on an extended trip, and they're more than happy to answer the question for you. And then you get some information, and you can add a few things to your stockpile.
Yep. And Kyle says that he should be stocking whiskey instead. Whiskey, bourbon, and beer, like an absolute ton of beer.
I have a lot of wine.
Bartering.
Or
I have a lot
and
of
wine. Yeah, wine, whatever your favorite flavor is. But and that works on so many levels too. Like we've talked about bartering on a number of episodes, and again, I forget. I think it was Popular Mechanics. They interviewed like a neighborhood of people. There were like 4 or 5 people in this neighborhood that didn't leave in advance of I forget which hurricane. But they said like cash was completely useless, but you could get people to do just about anything for a case of beer. So even if it's not for you, right? Having a few cases of beer on hand or a bottle of whiskey.
Hotel balls.
Yeah. Yep.
So having 1,000 rolls of toilet paper is good.
I mean, it's never a bad idea to have 1,000 rolls of toilet paper. It might be excessive. It might be a little less. I mean, it makes great fire starters. It makes, whatever, but whatever works for you, right? And if you've got room for 1,000 rolls of toilet paper, then, as long as all of your other preps are met, then go for it. And you can use alcohol for all kinds of other things. It's not just for taking the edge off when you've had a long day. Right. You can use that to make all kinds of other things. And this would be a great time to plug Dr. Alton's new book, I guess. Yep. The Wilderness Survival Handbook, or Wilderness Medicine Handbook, sorry. Survival Medicine Handbook. Boy, yep. Too many too much medicinal brandy tonight.
Great book, and it's 4th edition just came out.
4th edition is just dropped, and we were waiting for shipping to Canada because Dr. Alton is a good friend of the show. He's been on a couple of times. I've read I think I have the 2nd version on paper, and I think I have the 3rd version as a PDF, and I'm looking forward to the 4th version or the 4th edition. I'm gonna get that added to my bookshelf as soon as we can get it up here. So
it's a fantastic resource to have, and he's updated a lot of the various pages, different graphics, different depictions of how to do things, and just updated items in the book. Yeah. So, looking forward to getting it up here because it's released in the States. It's coming up this way. It just takes them some time to get it here. So,
they got to take care of themselves first, and then other people put their own oxygen masks on or something.
Exactly. Something like that.
Something like that. And
I think in the comments there, I think Scott's been paying Unger under the table.
I think so. Yeah.
There to use the wood gasifier to power your as a power generator to keep your freezer frozen.
Scott, we found your alternate username.
Further about a strong egg, so I think him and Scott are in cahoots here.
I think Unger is Scott.
I think they're the same person. Yep, they must be.
But so getting back to food rotations, just a quick recap. Rotate your stuff out. Make sure that you know what you like and what you don't like. Keep things fresh. Don't just throw it in the corner and forget about it for years on end. And take the time to set up a proper organized system that everybody in your household knows how it's going to be utilized. Date everything. Label. So, label. And then when you think you've labeled enough, label some more. And then that helps you kind of keep things on track. But let's dispel the whole myth of just buying a whole bunch of stuff, throwing it in the corner, and leaving it.
You could buy a whole bunch of stuff from Rapid Survival, throw it in the corner, and then in 10 years buy more stuff from Rapid Survival because you let the other stuff go bad. You could do that.
Sure. I will happily take your money.
Yeah.
I think it's good to do a practice run at least 1 month of the year.
Yep.
And
100%.
Don't go to the grocery store for the whole month.
Yep.
Just don't go. Just stop going for at least 4 weeks solid, or even at least 1 or 2 weeks for some people, and just see what happens. How are you accessing your larder? How are you going into the pantry? What are you actually missing? For me, it's probably more like milk, but I've got milk now, but I have to deal with powdered milk flavors.
That's a great point. Run a test.
Run a test on yourself.
Yeah, a couple of days, couple of weeks, a month.
Run a test. So I can probably go 2 weeks before I even hit the store, actually. So
times are good, and you've got the safety net where you can go to the store if you absolutely have to. Why not? run the test and see how things work. Great idea.
Freya, she's like, what if the world falls apart that month? Well, then you're in there. You're going, girl.
Yep.
You're going.
And it is what it is. Yep. Then you just carry on.
Yeah. Keep going.
All right. Does the panel have anything else they want to
Unger,
add?
I know we gave you a bit of grief, but you're a like-minded person, and we all are like that, and it's just we appreciate you being here. We're just kind of giving you the gears. That's all.
Yeah. And we really do appreciate the all the chatter in the live. It makes this so much more fun.
Oh, does it ever? Yeah. Certainly appreciate everybody chatting away in the live chat and giving us things to talk about, because it's just shows that you're out there and you're listening. So.
Yep. Fresh vegetables. Sorry, one last one here before we move on. Like, fresh vegetables, really hard to store long term. I think that kind of did the cross purposes being fresh and all. But you can take those great vegetables, can them into things that are still really tasty and delicious. And go back, what was that, 4 or 5 episodes ago? We had Carmen on for kind of the deep dive into canning. So
Canning's where it's at.
Yeah, and that would be great. And then
I was just going to add that even in the winter, you can grow lettuce in your windowsill. Sure. You can grow a lot of vegetables inside in a windowsill. They don't need a lot of light. They just need to have the water and the sunlight kind of a thing. So if you do have seeds stored away, which is another thing you should have, I can't talk right now. So organic seeds that you can reproduce the seeds from year after year after year. So heritage seeds, things like that, you can grow right in your house. You can have a grow light bulb above your romaine salad that's growing there, and take a couple of leaves off a day just to keep some freshness coming. So lettuce seed is so cheap, like super cheap. Like, you can get 10,000 lettuce seeds for like $5. Like, it's crazy cheap lettuce seed, especially if you buy it in bulk, like they do for the big places. So just go online and get some of the basics that you do eat. For me, I love romaine. I like it fresh. So I'm planting it every 4 or 5 weeks. I have romaine lettuce planted, and it comes up and I get to eat it. So, and you can chop away at it and it just keeps growing. So it's kind of nice that way. But for fresh veggies, carrots, lettuce, things like that, you can still grow those inside. They're just a little more stringy. They're just a little bit off kilter. You can't do like potatoes or corn or anything. That's just way too big for inside the house, but definitely lettuces for sure. So at least have your salad with your freeze-dried chicken on top.
And if you happen to be an expert in hydroponics, we want to hear from you, and we'll get you on another episode, because that's a whole different branch of growing and being sufficient. I don't know.
We're losing him.
Oh no! And Alan is turned into a robot. So yeah, like he was just mentioning that if we had a suggestion here in the live chat in regards to an episode on hydroponics, which I think ties in quite nicely to food rotation that we've been talking about this evening. So yeah, if you're out there and you know anything about hydroponics, we'd love to have you on the chat about it, because that is actually something that's in the list of topics we like to cover at some point. But with that, does the panel have any other final thoughts on food rotation before we move towards the podcast challenge? All right. So, podcast challenge. So, set up a system or a plan to rotate your reserves. Estimate when you purchase things that don't have dates on them. So, basically, get a system set up that works for you. Put it in place. Then flip us an email at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. And let us know what system works for you. And maybe it'll help spark somebody else in getting a system set up on their end of things. Upcoming events. So we've got mapleseedrifleman.com/events. Check it out. Get out to a shooting range somewhere and put some rounds down range and have some fun.
Oh, can't wait.
Oh, yeah. And then
I took my pal 3 weeks ago.
Nice. So the hurry up and wait for the license in the mail.
Yeah, thanks.
It'll come out eventually.
Oh yeah.
Deal of the week. So thanks to listener Jason, sent in on the Facebook chat a suggestion. Princess Auto has a braided nylon paracord, 50 feet for $2.99 or 100 feet at $4.99 with a 110-pound working load. So it's not too bad.
I love Princess Auto.
Yeah, so check that out. And I think we're going to have to start hitting Princess Auto up for a sponsorship or something, because it seems like every other week we're plugging a product for them. But there's your deal of the week. Shout outs. So Alan, since he decided to turn into a robot and disappear into the abyss that is the internet, had a shout out to Ethan out in the Yukon who is listening in. This is always great to hear from you, and hope the journey is treating you well.
And I have a shout out to West Coast Seeds. I got my package for the following year already, so I'm ahead of the season for next year. And awesome packaging. It came in really nice, and I'll probably buying some more over the winter. And I've got my name down for some seed potatoes come the spring also. So they put a little note on there that I've got my reserve. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, great place, organic heritage seeds, awesome website too, very easy to go through, and yeah, just a good company. I like them.
Nice. All right, we'll move into email iTunes reviews. So we've got an email from listener Marcus in Sweden. So we're making the distance with the podcast. This is good. It says, hi, I thought I'd share some news from over here as well. Sweden moves to remove the last bans and restrictions introduced during COVID. As stated in the article, we never had a hard lockdown for good or worse, but it seems we currently are heading for a complete opening again with no restrictions on spectators in sporting events or in bars, restaurants, religious gatherings, and so on. Last statement says there will be no vaccination certificate required to attend any activities. Personally, I'm looking forward to it. Take care and keep up the good work. And that's from Marcus. So happy to hear things are going well over in Sweden. And with that, I'll bring episode number 130 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast to an end. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, or of course your favorite podcast app. Please help us out. Submit a review. It helps other people find us. Jeff, you mind stealing out?
We record these shows live on Facebook and YouTube. If you want an early peek at the show, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Canadian Prepper Podcast, and click the notifications tab. That gives you an alert when you're going live. If you want to reach Alan, who wanted to run away, he can be reached Alan with one L at prepperpodcast.ca. And I can be reached, being the gray man, just that feedback at prepperpodcast.ca.
I can be reached at microsetting@gmail.com, and I would love to connect with others. So drop me a line. Talk to you soon.
Anywhere in specific you want people to get a hold of you, Brad?
No, not yet. I don't have anything set up.
Fair enough. No problem. You can
Not
always flip an
publicly
email.
yet, anyway.
You can always flip an email to feedback@prepperpodcast.ca for Brad as well if you'd like. And I know where to get him, so I can send the question to him. For me, check out Rapid Survival at rapidsurvival.com. You can get me there on the live chat if I could talk. You can also email me at feedback.
It's contagious. I'm sorry.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's like a yawn, right? All of a sudden, nobody can talk. So yeah, you can flip me an email at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. And thanks for joining us this evening. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe,
and keep learning.